What if the things you want are not really your wants? What if many of your desires were carefully planted inside your mind, long before you ever believed they were your own? What if the endless pursuit of more, the next purchase, the next upgrade, the next achievement, the next experience, is not leading you toward freedom, but quietly keeping you trapped? Most people believe they are making independent choices. They believe they buy what they like, pursue what they value, dream what they genuinely desire. But what if the modern world has become exceptionally skilled at shaping desire itself? What if the greatest form of control is not forcing people to do something against their will, but teaching them to willingly chase things they never truly needed? Take a moment and consider this. How many items have you purchased with genuine excitement only to lose interest a few weeks later? How many goals seemed essential until they were achieved? How many times have you believed that happiness was just one step away? One promotion, one relationship, one vacation, one new possession. And yet, somehow satisfaction never seems to last. The excitement fades. The craving returns. The cycle begins again. This is not an accident. It is not a personal failure. It is a feature of how desire works. And understanding this mechanism may be one of the most important forms of freedom available in the modern age. Welcome to Silent Mind Academy. Imagine a thirsty person standing beside the ocean. Water surrounds them in every direction. Yet they remain thirsty, because the water cannot satisfy their need. In many ways, modern consumer culture creates a similar paradox. Never before in human history have people possessed so many comforts. Never before have they had access to such abundance, such convenience, such entertainment, and such choice. Yet, levels of anxiety, dissatisfaction, loneliness, and emotional exhaustion continue to rise. Why? Because abundance and fulfillment are not the same thing. The modern economy depends upon a simple psychological reality. Satisfied people buy less. Restless people buy more. Contentment slows consumption. Dissatisfaction accelerates it. As a result, countless systems are designed to keep desire active. Not necessarily through malicious intent, but through economic incentives. The machine functions best when people continuously seek what they do not yet have. The promise is always the same. You are almost complete, almost successful, almost attractive enough, almost wealthy enough, almost happy enough. Just one more step. Just one more purchase. Just one more improvement. And then, fulfillment will finally arrive. Yet, fulfillment rarely arrives as promised. Instead, the target moves, again and again. Psychologists refer to this phenomenon as hedonic adaptation. Human beings rapidly become accustomed to improved circumstances. The new phone becomes ordinary. The new house becomes familiar. The promotion becomes expected. What once felt extraordinary soon becomes normal. The emotional high fades. The mind recalibrates. Then, it begins searching for the next source of stimulation. The modern marketplace understands this process remarkably well. Entire industries are built around creating cycles of anticipation. Not satisfaction. Anticipation. Because anticipation is profitable. The dream often sells better than the reality. Think about how much pleasure comes from imagining a future purchase. Researching it. Comparing options. Visualizing ownership. The mind generates excitement before the object even arrives. Yet once obtained, the object frequently delivers less satisfaction than expected. Why? Because desire thrives on distance. The imagination often creates experiences reality cannot match. The moment possession occurs, fantasy dissolves. Reality replaces anticipation. And the search begins again. This cycle reveals something profound. Human beings often confuse desire with happiness. Yet, the two are fundamentally different. Desire is movement towards something. Happiness is contentment with what is. Desire focuses attention on absence. Happiness emerges through appreciation of presence. The more desire dominates consciousness, the more difficult contentment becomes. Because desire constantly highlights what is missing, what is lacking, what remains unfinished. This mechanism becomes especially powerful in the age of social media. For most of human history, people compared themselves to relatively small communities. Family, neighbors, local peers. Today, comparison operates on a global scale. Millions of carefully curated lives appear on screens every day. Vacations, achievements, luxury, beauty, and success. The extraordinary becomes visible constantly. The ordinary begins to feel inadequate. People compare their everyday reality to someone else's highlight reel. The result is predictable. Envy increases. Gratitude decreases. Desire multiplies. A person who felt perfectly content yesterday suddenly feels insufficient today. Not because their life changed, but because their comparison changed. This is one of the most powerful traps of modern consumption. The system does not merely sell products. It sells identities. It sells lifestyles. It sells imagined versions of the self. Buy this and become successful. Own this and becomes desirable. Achieve this and become worthy. The product becomes symbolic. A vehicle for psychological transformation. Yet, objects rarely deliver the identity they promise. The deeper insecurity remains untouched. The deeper longing remains unresolved. Another fascinating aspect of desire is its relationship to scarcity. People often value things more when they appear limited, exclusive, rare, difficult to obtain. Marketers understand this instinct intuitively. Limited time offers, exclusive releases. Scarcity creates urgency. Urgency intensifies desire. The object appears more valuable simply because access feels restricted. Yet once obtained, its actual utility remains unchanged. The mind responds not only to reality but to perception. And perception can be manipulated. This is why awareness becomes so important. Without awareness, desire operates automatically. The individual becomes reactive, impulsive, driven by external influences they barely notice. With awareness, space emerges. The person begins asking different questions. Do I genuinely want this? Or do I simply want the feeling I imagine it will provide? Am I pursuing a need or responding to a manufactured craving? What problem am I actually trying to solve? These questions interrupt automatic behavior. They create freedom. Ancient philosophical traditions understood this long before modern psychology existed. The Stoics warned against attachment to external possessions. Buddhist teachings explored the relationship between craving and suffering. Taoist sages encouraged simplicity and harmony. Despite their differences, many wisdom traditions arrived at a similar insight. The problem is not having possessions. The problem is believing possessions can complete us. Objects have practical value. Comfort has value. Success has value. The mistake occurs when these things become substitutes for inner fulfillment. No external acquisition can permanently resolve an internal emptiness. The modern world often encourages the opposite belief. It encourages endless optimization, constant upgrading, continuous self-improvement. And while growth can be valuable, it can also become another form of consumption. Even personal development can become addictive. People chase better versions of themselves the way they chase products. Always improving. Never arriving. Always becoming. Never being. Eventually, life turns into a perpetual project. A problem requiring constant correction. The present moment becomes merely a stepping stone toward a future that never quite arrives. This is where the psychology of desire reveals its deepest paradox. The more desperately we seek fulfillment through external means, the more elusive fulfillment becomes. Not because success is wrong, Not because pleasure is wrong, but because neither was designed to provide permanent satisfaction. They are experiences, not destinations. Moments, not foundations. When we expect them to become something more, disappointment becomes inevitable. So, what is the alternative? Not withdrawal from society. Not rejection of all material comforts. Not asceticism. The alternative is awareness. To see desire clearly. To observe its patterns, its promises, its cycles, and its illusions. The moment desire becomes visible, it loses some of its power. The individual stops being unconsciously driven. Choice reappears. Freedom reappears. A person can enjoy possessions without becoming possessed by them. Can pursue goals without attaching identity to outcomes. Can participate in modern life without being consumed by it. This balance is not easy. The forces shaping desire are powerful. They surround us daily. Yet, awareness remains more powerful. Because awareness transforms unconscious habits into conscious decisions. As we reflect on the modern world, perhaps the most important question is not what we desire, but why we desire it. Where does the longing originate? What need lies beneath it? What fear sustains it? What hope animates it? These questions lead inward. And every meaningful form of freedom begins there. Thank you for spending this time with Silent Mind Academy. If this exploration resonated with you, take a moment to observe your own desires today. Not to judge them, not to suppress them, simply to notice them. Notice how they arise. Notice what they promise. Notice how they shape perception. And perhaps, within that observation, you will discover something remarkable. That the freedom you have been seeking was never hidden inside the next purchase, the next achievement, or the next upgrade. It was hidden inside awareness itself. The quiet ability to see clearly in a world constantly telling you to want more. Because sometimes, the most radical act in a culture of endless consumption is not acquiring something new. It is realizing that, in this moment, you may already have enough.